Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
At Clash in Paris, Roman Reigns finally faced Bronson Reed in a one-on-one match. The tribal chief had to bring his A-game as Reed made life difficult for him in the ring. But in the end, Reigns was able to prevail, scoring the big win. He then choked out Paul Heyman after the match and got back his pair of shoes that Reed had stolen in the last few weeks. But just as Reigns was celebrating with the fans, he got taken out by a devastating spear from Braun Breaker. Breaker and Reed then proceeded to attack Reigns brutally, even after the OTC1 was strapped to a stretcher. The AUSilla delivered devastating tsunami after tsunami to leave the tribal chief lying lifeless. In this article, we explore 3 reasons behind this brutal attack. 3. Roman Reigns will take time off to film Street Fighter. The scale of the attack on Reigns is something rarely done by WWE in recent years. This could be their way of writing him off from TV as he looks to fulfill his Hollywood commitments. Reigns has been cast as Akuma in the upcoming live-action Street Fighter movie and will be busy with filming in September. According to reports, the former WWE champion is scheduled to be on the sets for 4 weeks from September 2nd to 26th. While he could still show up for a WWE appearance in between, the attack by the Vision at Clash in Paris gives him a good reason to stay out of action while the shooting for the movie wraps up. Number 2. It makes the Vision look strong. Bronson Reed was always going to be an underdog coming into the match against Roman Reigns. While he had a good showing, he still ended up taking a loss. However, Braun Breaker destroyed Reigns after the bout, and then Reed delivered those devastating tsunami sends a message. Despite the loss, the Vision came out of the situation looking strong. They stood tall at the end and likely put Reigns on the shelf storyline-wise. This could be the biggest statement from the faction yet, and it makes them come off as a big threat to anybody on the roster. By manhandling Reigns like that, WWE has ensured that Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker come off as credible stars as well, especially after losing at SummerSlam. This ensures that Reed and Breaker are seen as more than just Seth Rollins' sidekicks. 1. To ensure Roman Reigns doesn't cost Seth Rollins in the main event. Last week on Raw, Roman Reigns endorsed Jey Uso and said that he had his back. At the Countdown to Clash in Paris show, Michael Cole even mentioned that the tribal chief will be accompanying Jey for the world title match later in the evening. This could have meant a serious problem for Seth Rollins in his title defense in the fatal 4-way match. However, by eliminating Reigns, Breaker and Reed have effectively ruled out the possibility of that happening. Reigns was carried out on a stretcher. Even though Jey Uso tried to help his cousin, he too was put down by Breaker with a spear. Thus, this brutal attack on Roman Reigns by the Vision ensures Rollins won't have to worry about him in the main event, while Uso would also not be at 100% for the big title match. The WWE Universe is still buzzing after the shocking and brutal attack on Roman Reigns at WWE Clash in Paris 2025. The undisputed WWE Champion, often referred to as the Tribal Chief, has been the centerpiece of the company for several years. His dominance, aura, and leadership of the bloodline made him almost untouchable. But in Paris, the unthinkable happened. Reigns was viciously assaulted in a moment that left fans in attendance stunned and millions watching worldwide speechless. The attack not only cast doubt on his immediate future but also ignited debates among fans and wrestling insiders. Why did this happen to Roman Reigns? Why at such a high-profile international event? And who could benefit most from his downfall? Let's break down 3 major reasons behind the brutal ambush on Roman Reigns at Clash in Paris. 1. Internal betrayal within the bloodline. For years, the bloodline has been portrayed as the most dominant faction in WWE. Under Roman Reigns' leadership, the group grew into an unstoppable machine that included the Usos, Solo Sikoa, and the strategic mind of Paul Heyman. However, as history in WWE shows us time and time again, every dynasty eventually crumbles, and usually from within. At Clash in Paris, many insiders believe the attack may have stemmed from cracks that have been forming within the bloodline for months. Solo Sikoa, in particular, has been growing more aggressive and distant. His loyalty has often been questioned, and whispers in the locker room suggest that he has grown tired of living in Reigns' shadow. The attack could very well have been orchestrated by Solo or even by Paul Heyman, who has a history of aligning himself with whoever he deems most powerful at the time. If Reigns was seen as vulnerable, Heyman could have easily shifted his allegiance to ensure his own survival and relevance. The internal betrayal theory also gains traction because Roman Reigns' leadership style has always been authoritarian. He demanded loyalty, respect, and obedience, often ruling with intimidation. Over time, resentment builds up in such an environment. What better stage than Clash in Paris, an international premium live event, for a shocking mutiny against the tribal chief? If this is true, it marks the beginning of the Bloodline's complete implosion, which could reshape WWE for years to come. 2. A power shift at the top of WWE. The second reason behind Roman's attack could be connected to WWE's shifting landscape. Since Triple H took over creative control, the company has been pushing for new stars and fresh storylines. While Roman Reigns has been the undisputed face of the company, his reign of dominance has also drawn criticism from fans who are eager for change. The attack in Paris may have been WWE's way of signaling a new era. By taking down the most powerful champion in dramatic fashion, the company opens the door for a new face of the brand. This isn't just about one wrestler targeting Reigns, it's about the larger narrative of WWE moving into its next chapter. Consider this: Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Gunther, and even younger talents like Braun Breaker have all been positioned as potential successors to Roman's throne. By orchestrating a shocking assault, WWE instantly sets up fresh rivalries and high-stakes drama. Fans are now left asking, who did it, and what happens next? That intrigue translates into ratings, ticket sales, and mainstream attention. The attack also strategically took place in Paris, symbolizing WWE's global expansion. By creating such a headline-grabbing moment at an international show, WWE reminded the world that their stories are no longer confined to the United States. This was about making a global statement: Roman Reigns, the long-standing tribal chief, is no longer invincible. If WWE truly intends to crown a new leader of the company, the attack in Paris was the perfect way to start that transition. 3. Personal revenge and old enemies resurfacing. The third reason could be far more personal. Roman Reigns has dominated WWE for nearly a decade, collecting enemies along the way. From legends like Brock Lesnar and John Cena to modern rivals like Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, Reigns has made plenty of foes who would love nothing more than to see him destroyed. Paris could have provided the perfect opportunity for someone seeking revenge. Imagine if Seth Rollins, still bitter from years of Roman's dominance, orchestrated the attack. Or perhaps Kevin Owens, who has an emotional history with Reigns and the Bloodline, saw Paris as his chance to finally get payback. Another intriguing possibility is the return of a past rival who has been lying in wait. WWE has a history of shocking returns, and Paris was a fitting stage for such a twist. A returning star like The Rock, for instance, could justify an attack on Roman due to their head-of-the-table rivalry that never fully concluded. Even if it wasn't The Rock, other veterans or former allies turned enemies could have been behind the brutal beatdown. Personal vendettas often run deeper than storyline motivations. To some, Roman Reigns isn't just the champion, he's the roadblock standing in the way of their own legacies. The attack in Paris might not have been about gold or power, it could have been about destroying the aura of invincibility that Reigns has carried for too long. What this means for Roman Reigns and WWE. The brutal attack at Clash in Paris raises more questions than it answers. Roman Reigns has been the centerpiece of WWE for so long that his absence, or even a weakened version of him, could completely change the company's direction. If the attack was the result of bloodline betrayal, we could see one of the most personal and explosive feuds in WWE history. A civil war within the family would not only headline premium events but also draw mainstream attention due to its deeply emotional undertones. If it was a power shift orchestrated by WWE, then we are entering a new era. Someone fresh will rise to the top, and Roman will be tasked with chasing rather than defending. This could revitalize his character and bring about a different kind of story arc for the tribal chief. And if it was purely about personal revenge, then we are in for a deeply compelling feud rooted in years of history. Whether it's Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, or a shocking return, the storyline possibilities are endless. One thing is certain, the attack in Paris was not a random act. It was calculated, brutal, and designed to shake WWE to its core. Roman Reigns may eventually recover, but the scars, both physical and psychological, will remain. The aura of untouchability around the tribal chief has finally been shattered. Roman Reigns' brutal assault at WWE Clash in Paris 2025 will go down as one of the most shocking moments in recent wrestling history. Whether it was betrayal from within the bloodline, a strategic power shift by WWE, or an act of personal revenge from an old rival, the ramifications will echo for months to come. Fans worldwide are now glued to every show, desperate for answers and eager to see how Roman Reigns responds. For a man who has built his career on dominance and respect, this may be the biggest test of his legacy yet. The tribal chief has been humbled. But knowing Roman Reigns, this may only fuel his fire to reclaim his throne. The WWE Universe waits anxiously to see if the head of the table can rise once more, or if Paris marked the true beginning of his downfall.